Hello. Today we visit a r/AskReddit post to ask what are some red flags in an interview that reveals the job is toxic. Make sure to comment any red flags or any bad interviews you may have had. My story is down there if you want to read it. With that, sit back and enjoy. I interviewed for one once where the manager spent the whole time asking me the usual questions in between rounds of berating some poor tech support employee on the phone about their payroll software. Also, anytime a hiring manager talks up the company's bonuses and raises to justify their low salary, you'd better believe you're not actually getting either. I left my last job back in mid-December. They told me my salary will be ready in the first week of January. Today's January 8th, and an hour ago, I called and they told me it'll be ready next week. Your state's Department of Labor needs a call. And an email follow-up. Thank you for that call today, informing me that my salary will be ready next week. I appreciate you informing me of the delay. Paper trail. Create one if they refuse to have one themselves. Trying to get you to agree to start before they tell you what you'll be paid. I applied to a position out of state and was offered the position during the phone interview. When asked when I could start, I replied 2 weeks, but stated I couldn't accept without knowing how much it paid and having that in an official offer letter or email. This dude lost his shit and said all huffy puffy, "Well, I mean, I don't have the numbers right in front of me, but I guess if you have to know I can get that for you." I said yes, I have to know. He said he'd call back. He never did. That sounds insane that he wouldn't even believe that people would work without knowing how much they pay. That's usually the phone interview question for me, not going to lie. Wanna know the cool thing? About 10 years ago I was being told by my parents never to ask the wage because you don't want to be seen as someone who just wants the job for the money. I went for an interview and they asked if I had questions. I said no. They looked confused and asked if I didn't want to know the wage. I just said, to be honest, my parents said don't ask, so, but if you want to tell me then great. They laughed and said okay, and they told me. My dad knew them and got me the interview. Seriously, parents are so ducking hopeless at job interviews if they have been in the same job for longer than a decade. My dad threw a fit. I didn't want to wear a suit to a warehouse interview. Yeah, and being pushy about you starting earlier even if you told them you can only start from a certain date. Or giving you assignments in the meantime is a great way to get you started without getting paid for it. If I'm watching your ducking workplace training, I'm getting paid. I had an 18-year-old coworker who got scammed into joining a high-pressure commission sales job, where he didn't realize the format has you making cold calls until a senior sales guy leaves, and then you might inherit part of their customer list and actually make money. They told him that if he didn't start the Friday of the interview, they'd just go with someone else, so he didn't give 2 weeks' notice. A month later, he was calling to get his job back, but HR informed our boss that not giving 2 weeks' notice results in an automatic 3-year ban on being hired back. We recently had a senior employee leave our company after working with us for over 5 years. He came into work on a Friday and said, "Today is my last day, I'm starting a new job on Monday." They said, "It's gonna be tough to replace you on such short notice. You couldn't have given 2 weeks' notice?" He says, "What about every time you do layoffs? Dozens of those employees didn't get a 2 weeks' notice. You call them in and say you're laid off effective immediately. So actually I'm going to quit effective immediately." He then went home and didn't come back. If you hear the word sales mentioned anywhere in the job description, then sales will be your main job. Yup, I worked in a call center as technical support. They really forced us to make sales our priority. One time I spent 15 minutes in a call to explain to some old lady, step by step, how to fix something on her phone. She was really thankful and I felt good about helping her. I end the call and my team leader comes over to chew me out because I wasted too much time on that call and didn't even try to sell her anything. That was the moment I realized, man, duck this job. Fun fact, in the UK, companies have to declare if their technical support also handles sales, upselling. It's illegal not to. Hence why so many call centers have split their teams up. Phone to say the customer has died? Support team telling you they will try to sell you something is very off-putting even if they don't. I also worked tech support. The only thing my boss cared about was sales numbers. We had a whiteboard with sales numbers that was updated every week, along with our pictures with a funny nickname for each of us, and they showed us how we did on sales. Anyone near the bottom got chewed out by the boss. They didn't even bother showing us call numbers, talk time, etc. unless it was affecting our sales. I agree, duck any tech support job making sales a priority. This actually happened to me. Interviewer, do you have any questions for us? Me, what is a challenge this department has recently faced? Interviewer, job security. Wow. Open and shut. More people need to look interviewers in the eye and ask about turnaround and how many people were fired or laid off. The one company that answered honestly, I'm still here and we actually did 0 layoffs while our competitors are shedding hundreds of workers. I always try to ask last time they fired someone, promoted someone, gave a bonus, raise. The reasons why they did that and the time between that and the previous firing, promotion, raise. It gives a lot of insight on how the manager treats things and will ultimately treat you. We expect our employees to be flexible regarding work schedules. Would you be available to work evenings, weekends, and occasionally on holidays with short notice according to our needs? That's funny. I usually say that I expect my employer to be flexible regarding my work schedule. Sometimes both go hand in hand. At least in software development I know many where the employer is super flexible with the employee, but when urgency demands it the employees will be there. Also IT or IT support tend to have this as an agreement. You won't care too much when we come and go as long as we do our hours, and we will make sure that work that has to get done gets done. Work for a commercial roofing company. One of our customers is a top 20 Fortune 500 company. Thus we tend to jump and run when they call and say something has gone wrong and they need us on their building 20 minutes ago. For example, summer of 2021 one of their buildings nearly took a direct hit by a tornado. Sunday morning I got a phone call and ran out the door to go to that building. Within 30 minutes of me showing up on site 2 of our cranes were on site along with 30 employees to get their roof patched up for them. Now we all were paid double time due to it being a last minute, oh duck we need guys now, type of situation. My point being that being flexible with hours isn't always the employer ducking the employees. What did you earn at your previous occupation? We are not looking for someone with a 9-to-5 mentality. Here you will truly be a part of the corporation family. I remember it was kind of a breath of fresh air when I took my current jobs interview. They said bluntly, most people get turned off by the idea of a 9-to-5 nowadays, but that unfortunately is exactly what this is. You can make it 8-to-4 if you want, but none of us really want to get up that early if we don't have to, and you're also in that boat. Turned out to be an awesome job. Very laid back and realistic. Everyone is just trying to make sure that everyone else goes home on time. Sometimes we end up staying an hour late at most, but it never feels like a chore, mostly because I know I could have left on time and no one would have said anything about it. I'm just doing it to help my team. They really are just friends at this point. The interviewer keeps telling you how fortunate you are to be there like they are doing you a favor by giving you the job. I worked for a dude once and I overheard him down the hall talking to a client. The client had said something really nice about how pleasantly I worked the desk, but then my boss countered saying, well she should be happy, she gets paid more than I do to sit around. Not only did he get 2.5 times more than me per hour, but there was so much more. Bro. I single-handedly updated all of your computers, learned how to do x-rays because you didn't feel like doing them anymore, shoveled when we got shit on by a blizzard, kept the place clean and ducking sanitized every single day, handled every, not fun, business call with no support, and listened to you abuse your poor sweet wife every day. I left that place as soon as I could. Dude was a sociopath. Once you realize that all upper management is family. This, or they're all from the same church or community. Nothing like being passed for a promotion by the new guy because he's with the higher-ups every Sunday despite being totally incompetent at the actual job. Classic nepotism. An interviewer tried to convince me to lowball myself after I said what I'd accept as a minimum salary which was in their offer range from the posting. If we pay you more you wouldn't get a bonus at the end of the year, and you'd be really upset when everyone else got one. What he was able to offer salary-wise was $10,000 below their posted range. Happened to me while interviewing before my current job. Position was advertised at a certain range. I asked for right in the middle of that range, which I thought was fair since I had about 5 years more experience than the minimum they asked for. I'm officially certified, and it was for a position where I would have to create the entire department around it since it was new due to their growth. They offered the position at the minimum of the range they posted. Well, joke was on them. I interviewed a day before they made the offer with my current company and they offered $8,000 more right out the gate. When I tried to negotiate, the guy would not budge. Made the right choice and 2.5 years later still with my company and got a promotion, huge raise at the 2-year mark. I drove about 4 hours to an interview in another city. I told the person interviewing me that I was happy at my current job and wouldn't consider leaving just for the higher pay. He stood up and looked over the cubicle walls to make sure no one was around and whispered, "You don't want to work here." I passed on that job, but while in the new city I applied for another job where I have been happy for the last 25 plus years. That dude is a hero. Oh man, I'm a nanny so I get some of the weirdest interview questions. It's not HR, it's Lisa the stay-at-home mom with her first baby. A big trigger in the nanny world? Light housekeeping. If you get asked to do some light housekeeping it means they want you to be their maid as well. So any downtime they expect you to be vacuuming, doing laundry, dishes. That's the question that seems innocent but is a huge red flag. Other interview red flags. Do you have a boyfriend? Do you expect payment during nap time, bedtime? We practice gentle parenting and expect you do the same. Fine in theory, means the kids will do whatever they want. I also had one lady during an interview start breastfeeding. Which is fine. She took her entire shirt off though. And stopped the interview for it. So for 15 minutes I'm sitting in silence watching this lady breastfeeding. After kiddo was done, she continued the interview topless. My biggest red flag is anytime free food gets mentioned as a perk. It's like they're trying to show they care about their staff's health and well-being by bringing in free bagels on Fridays. To be fair, I worked at a company for a year that offered delicious cooked meals for free every day. It was a legit perk. But I hear you. If they are bragging about the snack bar or weekly donuts in the interview, they're putting lipstick on a pig. My employer mentions the catered breakfasts as a reward for coming into the office to thank you for making the commute. It's not used as a selling point for the company at all. It's basically a, if we're requiring you to be in the office, then we're going to feed you breakfast and provide you a lunch stipend to cover some of the expense, sort of thing. Granted, we pay near the top of our industry so it's not like that paltry sum we're saving people coming into the office is anything other than a rounding error. That said, I've seen many suburban offices use such things as a, "Look, you don't even need to leave for food," sort of thing as a way of coping with the fact that they have to drive everywhere and are miserable because of it. Whereas my company's offices have around 20 restaurants within a 3-minute walk of the building's lobby, and has 2 companies that will bring bulk orders for us at lunchtime straight up to our floors if you don't want to go out or bring your own food. And all of that said, I work remote most of the time because my team is located in 5 different states and it saves me an hour per workday by not commuting. High turnover rates can be a red flag, but they are also just more common in certain jobs than others, retail, food service, etc. However, if they ever say, "People just don't want to work anymore," or something similar, run. They won't value your time. You as an employee, pay is likely to be shit, management is going to be incompetent and or overbearing, and options for raises, promotions, or career advancement is going to be minimal to none. Basically just code word for saying that they pay and or treat their employees like shit. If you offer a good salary and treat your employees well, you won't have an issue hiring and retaining employees. With that, thank you for watching all the way until the end, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment what are some red flags in an interview that reveals the job is toxic. If you want to continue to watch my content, click one of the videos above. Until next time.